Hello, friends. We are back after a long gap of vacation. So, today, Dr. Shobha is going to present a case and she will be demonstrating how to catch the core feeling of the patient and convert it in rubric language. And that is the basically core concept of the remedy also. And then we will be describing in which other situations this rubric can be applied and also the close differentiation of close coming rubrics. So I invite Dr. Shobha to share her case. Then Nirupama will be sharing the case of the same remedy. And then we will go to the situational materia medica and rubric differentiation. So Shobha, please start.
Yeah, thank you, Anita. So, hello. Um, Today I'm going to share with you the case of a 45-year-old female patient. She's coming from a very low socioeconomic South Indian family. And now she has, actually, she used to come to me, but very irregularly and only sometimes whenever she used to have some acutes. So that time I used to take her acute totality and then I used to prescribe, but I have never taken her full case. So this time when she came, she came and first question she asked me is, did you come to know that my husband has expired 1 month ago? Now I wasn't aware about it because this patient is relative of my compounder. So she thought, okay, my compounder might have informed me, but I wasn't aware of it. So then she told me about her husband's death a little bit, and then she described her complaints that she has got a severe occipital headache and a neck pain, as if there is some heavy weight is kept on it, and she complained of chest pain, some ghabrahat, and so on the basis of the past experience, I gave her the medicine, and she was called after a week. So she came next week without any relief, and the medicine had not helped her, and she was again into the tears. So this time she appeared little more sad and depressed. And when I understood that, okay, she is not better at all and something is bothering her and she looks little sad and depressed. So I went into the little more detail of her about her husband's death and I asked her. So if I tell you a little bit about this patient, so this patient is living with her father, mother, her son and daughter. And what had happened is her husband is not living with them at present. Her father is doing a begari work and her mother is a little strong lady. Now the patient's husband is not living with them since last 10 years. And when they got married, he was there as a ghar jamai at their home because the patient did not have any other siblings. She was the only one at that time. So that is how, in their family, the patient's parents had made him ghar jawai. And this patient's husband was little more educated. So compared to the others in the family, so was happening is he used to take the tuitions of the nearby children, and also like he had started a small coaching class for the slum children, where they were living. And his behavior was fine in the first 5 6 years, but later on, what happened is कि the patient's mother delivered another son, and the patient's younger brother was born. So what happened was that this patient's husband, who was made ghar jawai, possibly he started thinking, कि he will not have that much of hold over the patient's father's property, and he will not get it completely because now they have a waris, and her brother is born. So after that, the patient's husband's behavior completely changed, and he started drinking a lot. He started taking the money on the loans from the relatives or from the others, and he started borrowing this money. And because of that, like he went into the debts because he would drink alcohol and he will come home. So he will, do a lot of quarrel with the wife, with the family members, with the meaning the patient's mother and all. So by all this, there was a lot of stress around those last 5 6 years in the family. And then it also happened that that the patient's family finally told this patient's husband to stay away from the family, because the patient's husband had what he had done, because he was little educated, so he only used to look after all the bank work and everything of the patient's parents bank accounts and all. So by that, he used to take the loans from the other people, but he also took away the money from the patient's parents' bank accounts. So he like removed almost 3 to 4 lakh rupees, and he used them and spent it into the alcoholism and all. After that, also once it happened that the patient had gone and paid the 11,000 fees of her son in the school. So that also, somehow this patient's husband went there and he took it away, and the patient had to repay the fees. So after this incident, the patient's mother was very furious, and she literally shouted at this patient's husband. I also asked about patient that what was your reaction. So patient also felt very angry. She also shouted, but like she is a very mild type of person. So she told about 2 3 sentences, but after that she could not tell him much more. But the patient's mother and the patient also, like both of them, they felt that he did not even spare our son, and even his fees he took it away. So they felt it very bad, and there was a lot of quarrel and stress after that. So after that, they also didn't pay much attention to this patient's husband. And slowly, what happened is that this patient's husband, he left the town, and he earlier they were living in Mumbai, so he left and he went and lived in Pune. So after going and settling in Pune, in last 10 years he was there, almost in the Pune only. There, from there, in the first year, he used to call patient, and he used to trouble her, and he used to ask for the money. But and he also used to sometimes abuse her. So the patient did not like all this. So then slowly, gradually, patient also stopped taking all his calls. And then almost last 9 years, there was no contact between the patient and the husband, or the patient's family also. And suddenly, what had happened is that patient received a call from the Pune police saying that your husband has died, and they wanted patient to go there and identify his body and then take the possession of it. So patient and was quite shocked, like but still she and her family, they went. Patient also informed her in-laws family, and they all went over there, and she did all whatever rituals were needed after husband's death. So I was having that question, in my mind, that what is it like? Is this patient feeling the death of her husband so much? Is she grieved because of it? Or is she into depression? And is she really missing this husband? So I asked her directly, ki, what is it like? Are you really missing him? So I got a very surprising answer from the patient. And she told me कि डॉक्टर, अब मैं देवी की पूजा नहीं कर पाऊंगी। इतने साल से मैं करती थी, देवी का श्रृंगार नहीं कर पाऊंगी। मैं उन वो जो लड़कियों को घर पे बुलाती थी, उन लोगों को घर पे नहीं बुला पाऊंगी। वो मार्गशीर्ष महीने में लास्ट थर्सडे आता है, तभी हम लोग हल्दी कुमकुम रखते हैं, और वो हल्दी कुमकुम अभी मैं मेरे घर पे नहीं कर पाऊंगी। और मैं किसी के घर पे जाके भी वो मतलब जा नहीं सकती हूँ, वो लोग भी मुझे इनवाइट नहीं करेंगे उनके घर पे जब भी हल्दी कुमकुम होगा तो। और मैं अगर वहां पे गई भी, तो मैं वहां पे जाके क्या करूंगी, क्योंकि वो लोग तो मुझे हल्दी कुमकुम नहीं करेंगे। तो मैं वहां पे जाके भी कुछ ये नहीं है, और वो बुलाएंगे भी नहीं। और मैं अभी वो जो छोटे बच्चे लोगों को बुलाती थी, छोटी लड़कियों को बुलाती थी, उनको खाना खिलाती थी, तो मुझे वो अभी नहीं कर पाऊंगी। तो मुझे तो ये देवी को सजाना बहुत अच्छा लगता था, उसका श्रृंगार करना बहुत अच्छा लगता था। और सब लोग जो मेरे घर पे आते थे, वो लोग मुझे बोलते थे, तुमने तुम्हारी देवी का बहुत अच्छा श्रृंगार किया है, उसको बहुत अच्छा सजाया है, तुमने वो डेकोरेशन भी बहुत अच्छा किया है। और मुझे भी ये सब जब भी मैं सुनती थी तो बहुत अच्छा लगता था। तो डॉक्टर ये सब भी अभी नहीं हो पाएगा. And she was trying to tell me, and she was like, while telling also, she was weeping. There were tears in her eyes. So I tried to probe little more, to her, ki, okay, if she can explain me little more, because I felt myself little clueless, understanding this, ki what is happening to her. But she was in her tears and into that mind, that she could not explain to me that what exactly was happening to her. So this is all was the information which I had got. So then some more information that I have about this patient was that what patient also said was the patient knew that this her husband had to pay the loans, and he had borrowed money from the outsider people. So that is why she said, ki doctor, I had never asked even 1 rupee from my husband. And in fact, patient had started doing a job in some cloth company, like because like patient was living with her parents were taking care of her. But because the patient's husband was not giving any money to the family, and patient's children were growing and their education and everything was there, so patient herself, she took up a job in a company. So before, she joined this company, one of her acquaintance had taken her to some for some work, which was work of a housemaid, where she was suggested to do, jadu pocha and cleaning the bathroom and all. So it was just the one day that that acquaintance took her over there. But like after coming home, this patient has said spontaneously that after coming home, doctor, I cried so much, ki I was like, completely into tears, that I don't like this work and I don't want to do this work. So she didn't go for that work later on, and she joined that cloth company. Otherwise, she is a very calm and very mild type of person, and she has a good IPR with everyone. And even some information which I had got from my compounder also. So she also said that she is very mild type of person, and like उसका मतलब वो भली और उसका काम भला, and she will just directly go to her work and then go home. And she also said ki if at my work, if I do some mistake and if I'm scolded or if my mistake I'm pointed out, then I really feel, about it for 1 or 2 days कि अरे मेरे से ऐसी गलती कैसे हो गई. And then she will try to take care next time. Then she also has interest in new things like rangoli, drawing, studies, etc. So this was some more info. So when I tried to understand this patient and analyze, so I thought ki, this time when she came, the first question she asked me was, Doctor, did you come to know about my husband's death? So she was definitely sad and depressed and weepy also. She was into tears. She described to me in detail. But I was like, thinking in my mind, I knew, at least I had that much knowledge that she is not living with her husband for last 10 years, 9, 10 years. And husband has left the whole family and like has settled somewhere else. So then I was wondering, then still why is she still feeling depressed? So what is it? Is it the grief from the husband's death, or is it something else? So in that also, if we try to understand, then the total relationship of this husband and wife, meaning the patient who was married, was about 22 years. And in that also, in if you see, then in last 10 years, the husband was in Pune. And there was almost no contact with the husband in last 10 years. Previous 12 years, if you see, then in that also, the first 6 years, the relationship with the husband was okay. Husband was also fine. And he was also doing good for the patient and her children and all. But after that, in the last 6 years, when husband was in Mumbai living with the patient, that time the relationship was very stressful. And finally, patient literally betrayed him, betrayed everybody, betrayed patient. He betrayed the outsiders, the relatives, and the family, the patient's mother, father, to an extent that he took away the patient's son's fees also. So then, was there so much of attachment? So is it because of the husband's death that the patient is feeling down? But when I asked her about this, to my surprise, patient talked about all about that Devi and everything. And I was feeling, ki now this is something else. It is not about the husband's death. The grief is not about husband's death. It is something else which the patient is pondering in her mind and which she is feeling pain about, and which she is not able to explain in little detail. Also, one question came in my mind that, was she feeling herself being married till now? Because now what has changed? Something what has changed is just her marital status, that earlier she was married and now she has become widow. So is it the delusion married that she feels herself, till now? But then I did not find that much of, attachment in her talk also with her husband. So when I tried to think a little more, what I felt was that what is she bothered about? So she was bothered about this tag of widow, because now she feels, she is it that she wants to call herself married or as a suhagan, and she was able to do certain things which as a suhagan she could do puja of the devi, or she could participate in some of the activities and of her likings which she used to enjoy. But I thought ki no, it is not that. I felt ki till now she was into one group of suhagans, and now what has happened is that suddenly that group of from that group of suhagan she has shifted to a group of widow. And that is what is bothering her too much, because now society will look at her as a widow, and there will be some restrictions because of the rules that the society have for the widows, and she will not be allowed to participate in some of the activities, and she will not be able to do the puja of the devi. She will not be called in that puja. Even if she goes there, she will not be allowed to participate in that puja. She will have to be, stand little apart or not participate. She will not be able to call those small girls whom she used to call at her place for those haldi kunkus. उनको खाना खिलाती थी, वो अभी उनको खाना नहीं खिला पाएगी. She will not be able to decorate her devi and her this thing. So all these things were really, haunting her a lot. And that is what was the pain of this patient. And she was really feeling ki, as if, she's not a part of this group, or as if the society will look at her as if she's a leper or she's an outcast. कि जैसे कि वो अछूत है, and she will not be allowed. So this feeling was haunting her a lot. Okay, because she is widow, she will be now repudiated. She will be now despised, and she will, meaning the society will despise her and repudiate her, and she will not be included in these activities. So then the first rubric that came in my mind was delusion, outcast, she were in. Because like she, as if, the society will treat her like a leper. And outcast is as if, she will be cast away, or she will not be wanted, unwanted. And delusion, despised she is, and delusion, repudiated by the relatives, as if कि जो सोसाइटी है, द रिलेटिव्स हैं, वो उसकी नफरत करेंगे, उसको तिरस्कार कर देंगे, उसका त्याग कर देंगे, उसका स्वीकार नहीं करेंगे. And why? There is no fault of hers other than because she has now, because her husband has died and she's not Suhagan now, and because she is a widow. That is all. So she will not be allowed to do those decorations, and she will not be allowed to even the touch the Devi, jo jiska decoration karke everybody used to praise earlier. Now she will not even be, allowed to touch that Devi. So then I went into the to the Hura and also tried to see the retrospectively some other rubrics which were fitting into this case. Was like, the delusion, she's about to lose a friend, and the beloved ones. Delusion, she will lose someone dear. अब तक जो देवी को मैं बहुत close रखा था मैंने अपने दिल के, she will lose her. Delusion, lost her beloved ones and friends. Delusion, alone being in the world. Delusion, forsaken, no one would care for her. कि जैसे as if, she started feeling कि वो अभी अकेली हो गई है. Religious affections, too much occupied with religion. And the conscientious about trifles. जो पेशेंट ने बोला था कि वो अपनी ऑफिस में भी अगर if her mistake is pointed out, she would, feel that अरे मेरे से ये गलती क्यों हो गई. So she would think about it because her conscience was biting, and that is how she is also a conscientious person. ऑल्सो जब भी उसको किसी घर पे लेके जाना, लेके लेके गए कि यहाँ पे वो झाड़ू पोछा एंड मेड वर्क करने का है, शी रियली फेल्ट ह्यूमिलेटेड. द She came home and she cried a lot. She did not see, the patient did not say that I felt humiliated, but what she was going through and what she was crying at the home was she might have felt humiliated. And this humiliation was very painful for her. Even the humiliation of being a widow also is painful for this patient. Then delusion betrayed being. Husband ने तो betray किया ही था. And that is how what happens is Hura patient starts feeling themselves unfortunate, they feel. And finally, all this, there is also a rubric that when the Hura patient goes into all this, there is an anxiety about the salvation. They feel that because of all this, they will not get moksha or they will not have any mukti out of this. So on the basis of this, I prescribed her Hura 200, 3 doses. I had given her 1 dose stat, next 2 doses next day morning and third dose next day night. And she came next week and she was much, much better. The immediate next week. She was looking fresh, she was relaxed. All her pains were much better. Her neck pain, chest pain, her gabrat, her sadness, weeping, depressed feel, everything was better. And when I asked her about her thoughts, she told me कि जो हो गया वो हो गया, जाने दो, अभी क्या करे, नसीब अपना, अभी इतना बुरा नहीं लग रहा है, अभी एक्सेप्ट करके आगे बढ़ना है. So the patient, like, she could really accept, herself being that widow, and she could move ahead. After that, again, whenever she has come for the follow-up also, she is much better. So that is how I prescribed Hura, and the Hura has given a good result in her case. So friends, I will invite Dr. Nirupama. She will also share with us her experience of a Hura case. Yes, Dr. Nirupama.
Thank you, Shobha. Wonderful case, actually. It brings the really a suffering of widow, like how she was a part of society and suddenly she's outcasted and she's not part of various activities in India. So I think in our country, many females go through this state, but in your case, it has come really very strong experience. So similarly, I had this experience during COVID time. So this patient came, she was in mid 30s and she called me and she was just crying, crying, crying. And she said, Doctor, I'm having cough. Last 20 days I'm having cough and it's not reducing. So when you get cough, so she said, when I'm cooking, I'm getting cough. Evening, I'm getting cough. When I'm doing some puja, I'm getting cough. So it's important now connect the two cases. Like in Shobha's case, she talked about Devi's Shrungar. And my patient is saying that when I'm doing puja, I get cough. So this is important to connect. And then she went on crying and she said she had COVID before, 20 days back. She took treatment, fever settled down. She took allopathic treatment and it settled down. But this cough is not going. Dry, irritating cough, and along with that, there is bad taste in mouth. So she's not able to eat anything. She's not finding that she has eaten anything. So I was just wondering what is that bothering her? What is the irritant here? So I thought of thinking, finding out some psychological trigger. So I asked her, "Ki, what is your problem? How it started? What is the pain?" And she instantly said her daughter had COVID and it was shock to her. But then the immediate next moment she said, I want to cure her. And she and her daughter was isolated in one room and she was working towards her. But she said, full day I used to manage, but in the evening, I just used to cry, cry, cry. Automatically, tears used to come. And then what was bothering during that time? She said, if no one came to my room and asked me, how are you? All were keeping distance from me, as if I'm अछूत. She used word कि जैसे हम अछूत हो गए हैं, हमारे से कोई बात ही नहीं कर रहा है, कोई पूछने नहीं आ रहा है कि आप कैसे हो. जहां मैं जाती हूँ पीछे से सैनिटाइजेशन डालने को आ जाते हैं, पीछे पीछे सैनिटाइजर लेकर घूम रहा था मेरा हस्बैंड, एंड दैट वाज बॉदरिंग मी अ लॉट. सो एंड देन in the evening, this cough was increasing, her weeping was increasing. So that was her pain. Now, if you see COVID time, we came across a lot of such cases where isolation was there. But how many cases said like this? Most of the patients were worried about the disease, family members, other person should not get contracted with COVID. So they were also protecting their family. But here, pain was, I was outcasted. I'm treated like a achut. And she was not liking that. Uh, and she said, "Ki, no one came to ask, ki, how are you?" Hmm? And she used that word. And with that word and the evening aggravation, dry cough, I used the totality and I gave Hura 200. If you see it is the similar state what happens during the leprosy, you isolate the patient and we don't know what pain it goes through. But Hura talks about the pain what leper goes through. And similar situation had come during COVID time and this patient experienced it very strongly, and that's why Hura helped her. Few doses of Hura and patient was all right. So what we have to understand, this Hura is in the fifth subclass, and fifth subclass is school age, where your social identity is important. How you look in the society is important. So society is very integral part of your personality. But if society throws you out, how you will feel? And because Hura is in a leprous miasm, they feel it very strongly. They really work hard to be remain in the society. So that is there. They want to be in society. But the any trigger which where that fear comes, I'll be thrown out of the society. The pain goes up, and that is the pain of Hura. One is society, and other is outcast, that is lepermism. And that has come very strongly in these two cases. Now I invite Kushala to share few more things about the Hura, in which situation we can think about it. Welcome, Kushala.
Yeah, thank you, Nirupama. So these two were wonderful cases. So it's like Hura falls in the leprosy miasm, and once a leper, you are always branded as a leper, whether you are okay or not. Okay, so through unfortunate situation, this patient comes into a he comes into a situation where he I, neither the disease leaves him, neither he can live with it. The situation is such. It could be a disease situation, it could be a widow situation, or it could be something else, where then people start deserting you, they disown you, they hate you, they despise you. You are like, treated as you don't belong to, you're not accepted. And then you feel so despised yourself, you feel so dirty about yourself, so unfortunate feeling. You try your best, to try to fit in into the society by being extra affectionate. So Yura has affectionate active because he's trying to be extra loving just to be a part of the society, but society doesn't accept you at all. So it's a hopeless feeling, it's a hopeless despair of recovery. So situations where such seeds which are already sowed by the society and which then becomes your seed of creating a Hura state could be interreligious marriages, where then your religious group to whichever you belong totally outcasts you. They don't accept you. They don't make you part of any of their religious rituals or functions. You're not at all, as if you are now no longer belonging to that group at all, where all your life you were practicing that religion. So suddenly, by just taking a step of interreligious marriage, you're totally out of that group. Another example could be a lot of our youngsters go abroad for studying and then they settle abroad. Or it could be racial outcasting, where though you are, living there for so many years, just because of your skin color or because you are a second citizen, you could be, there have been cases where they felt that sort of discrimination where you're not given the first citizen or you're not given those privileges which a citizen of that country gets. You are like, there are instances where in the bus, even, the person won't sit next to you. That seat would be empty, that they wouldn't sit next to you, or you are humiliated unnecessarily. So these are some instances, even cases like vitiligo, or even as Dr. Nirupama said, leprosy. Who would want to really be friends with a leper? People would try to avoid you with the fear that, they will get the disease or something will happen to them. So somewhere you will get that feeling that people are, running away from you, not accepting you, pushing you away, despising you, hating you. In our country, there are certain work like, eunuchs, sex workers. How much is the acceptance of these people? Though, it's no fault of the eunuch, but still, we don't accept them the way we should be accepting. They're outcasted, they're despised, sometimes they're made fun of, they're rejected, they're pushed aside, they don't even get a proper job in, even if they want to earn their living by doing a job. So they are all on the streets, begging and getting their money to live their life. Even certain communities like the Harijans, they're treated as untouchables. They cannot even, use the common water. So this type of caste system is so prominent, and these are the seeds which have been sown by the society and which has left, put in a deep imprint, or it has, embedded in your system so deeply to create a Hura state where you get into that state of outcast. Now, certain people who are, criminal, get into criminal activities, have been imprisoned. Maybe they have, their sentence is complete, they have finished their punishment, and now they want to be reformed. But the society doesn't accept them the way they should be. So it's like a hopeless situation. You have tried your best to be a part, but no, you are rejected, you are cast away, you are hated, you are despised. Also, like in the movie Rocketry, our great scientist, Dr. Narayan Nambiar, I mean, he was such a great scientist of ISRO, and he was a patriot of the country. But due to a false allegation of being a spy and, giving some secret information about our country to another country, he was arrested, he was treated like an animal, publicly humiliated. All his friends left him, and for years he was tortured and treated as an outcast. Until after years and years, he was found clean and he was given the Padma Bhushan. But what have you done all these years to such people? You have despised them and treated them so badly that you have created a state of Hura. Similarly, certain mental disorders, some patients with how much do we accept a patient who is mentally ill and who has a behavioral problem, or who dresses in a certain way because he's mentally ill, or who behaves in a certain way? I mean, it's so difficult to accept. We try to avoid. So such are the seeds which, are borne by the society, and it's the society sows the seeds, and you get into the seed of Hura in you, being, feeling cast away, befriended, despised, hated, not accepted. So these are some of the few examples where I can, mention about where we can apply Hura. This is a state which has been created because of a very deep imprint of the social rules that have been enforced, or a social right and wrong thinking, because it's in the Rosidae family. So now I invite Dr. Anita to talk about, to give us a clear understanding about the various rubrics and the clear differentiation among the rubrics.
Kushala has made me so emotional. I will need few moments to gather myself. See, basically, Basically, all these feelings are, when you feel people are not treating you properly or they are ill treating you. So there is a different degree of feelings and different intensity, people make you feel that way, or you may feel it yourself, though people not may not be, doing anything. So in this case also, patient understood that she is widow and she will be avoided. Like basically, all the widows are, not welcomed in auspicious functions or some pujas, or they are not supposed to participate in certain pujas. People generally accept it. But this patient felt it acutely. So that is how she was given this medicine. So we will try to understand these terms which come very close. See, outcast is excluded, group से निकाल देना. It is like आप बहिष्कृत कर देना, बहिष्कार करना, सामूहिक बहिष्कार करना. तो people who have done something very wrong, उनको अपनी जात से बाहर किया जाता है. जैसे अभी बोला कुशाला ने जिस तरह से बोला कि अगर कोई इंटरकास्ट मैरिज है, तो सर्टन रिलीजन, सर्टन कम्युनिटी स्टिल डोंट एक्सेप्ट दैट. तो उनको वो लोग एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते हैं, उसके साथ रिश्ता तोड़ देते हैं, उसको किसी भी फैमिली के फंक्शन में इनवाइट नहीं करते हैं, उनको इन्वॉल्व नहीं किया जाता है, उनके साथ संबंध नहीं रखा जाता है. तो वो एक समाज से निकाल दिए जाते हैं, एक ग्रुप से निकाल दिए जाते हैं. इट कैन बी ग्रुप ऑफ फ्रेंड्स, इट कैन बी ग्रुप ऑफ रिलेटिव्स, इट कैन बी इन जनरल सोसाइटी और कम्युनिटी. जैसे ये पेशेंट को भी लगा कि अभी मैं सुहागनों के ग्रुप में नहीं आऊंगी, I will not be considered as Suhagan. And generally in all the auspicious पूजास we need 7 सुहागने चाहिए, शादी का फंक्शन हो या कोई भी फंक्शन हो. तो वहां पे उसको लगा कि I will not be allowed to participate in such things. So this is outcast, a person who is no longer accepted by society. Now if you see the rubric delusion outcast शिवरन, उसमें आप देखेंगे तो लेप्रामाइजम बोल्डली आता है, COVID-19 नोजोड very boldly, because after leprosy is now like it is almost gone, but COVID-19 again reminded us of this outcasted feeling where people were avoiding COVID patients. Not just COVID patients, family members of COVID patients, or even the dead bodies of the COVID patients. So this was the lepra miasm feeling. So all the lepra miasm remedies also have this feeling, and lack group of family. Lack group also has this feeling because they are self-contemptuous and they have lot of disgust about self. So lack group also falls in all these despised, repudiated, outcast. In all these rubrics, lack group also stands. And lot of animal remedies, because now they have carried the sensation of animal. They belong to animal group, but are born as humans. So certain qualities of animal group are not accepted by humans. So animal group also has lot of disgust and repulsive feeling, like even the ophidia is in lepramiasm. So going ahead, even the old age people, they also feel that people generally don't like very old people, especially sickly, dirty, not kempt. इस तरह के जो ओल्ड लोग हैं तो उनको भी वो लेप्रेसी जैसा फीलिंग आ जाता है. तो यू गेट इट इन लोअर sorry, advanced columns. Now despise. What is despise? You can see this lady's expression. ऐसे जैसे बोलता है ना, शे, यक, उस तरह का फीलिंग है. Despise is a strong hatred. We will see the meaning. Now, if you see the rubric again, here you see lepramiasm, milks. So such remedies are there. And other remedies despised because of their, behavior. Like argentum nitricum doesn't work. उसको निकम्मा बोलते हैं, जो काम नहीं करता है, कामचोरी करता है. तो उसको लोग दूर से ही मतलब नफरत करते हैं कि ये तो वैसे ही निकम्मा है. Like this patient's husband, the way he was behaving, पैसे ले लेके सब चोरी करके और अपने बेटे का भी पैसा लेके वो यूज कर रहा था. तो फैमिली वॉज डिस्पाइजिंग हिम. फैमिली ने उसको निकाल भी दिया, तो वो एक डिस्पाइज स्ट्रॉन्ग हेट्रेड। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। Despise is very strong hatred, deep dislike. And it is basically, despise often carries a sense of moral judgment or a feeling that the object of emotion has failed to live up to some standard. मतलब ये आदमी ने अपना पति होने का फर्ज नहीं निभाया है। कितना गिरा? इतना गिरा कि अपने बेटे की फीस स्कूल से जाके लेके भी उसका दारू पिया। तो ऐसे लोगों के लिए जो हमारे मन में एक फीलिंग आएगी, जो एक नफरत आएगी, एक घृणा आएगी, एक निगेटिव फीलिंग आएगी, वो डिस्पाइस है। डिस्पाइस इज स्ट्रॉन्ग डिसलाइक, बट इट इज नॉट यूज्ड इन वेरी ऑल द केसेस वेयर डिसलाइक इज देयर। इट इज अ वेरी डीप फीलिंग, जो एक मोस्टली डिसगस्ट, लुकिंग डाउन अपॉन, और वो पर लोगों ने उस लेवल का आपकी एक्सपेक्टेशन को पूरा नहीं किया है, वैसा है। जैसे वो दिस वर्ड कैन ऑल्सो बी यूज्ड अबाउट फॉर द बिहेवियर्स, लाइक मुझे झूठ बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है, तो आई डिस्पाइज व्हेन पीपल लाई टू मी। यहाँ पे एक स्ट्रॉन्ग डिसलाइक है। आई डिस्पाइज व्हेन देयर इज इनजस्टिस इन द वर्ल्ड, तो वो फाइट करेंगे उनके लिए। आई डिस्पाइज व्हेन द फूड इज वेस्टेड। So despise can be for the situations also, behavior also, and for people also. Next. Next is the repudiated. अभी repudiated में आप रेमेडीज देखेंगे तो थोड़ी कम है। जैसे अमोनियम है, तो अमोनियम को हमेशा वो they themselves are so embittered, so they don't consider themselves as part of the society, and society also उनकी bitterness के हिसाब से उनको avoid ही करती है। It is like the agreement or the contract is repudiated. Repudiated का बेसिकली ना कॉन्टेक्स्ट समझने के लिए, कोई भी आपने ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट्स कोई परमिशन के लिए दिया है, जैसे इंश्योरेंस का क्लेम डाला है, तो रेप्यूडिएशन, दे रेप्यूडिएट द क्लेम, मतलब वो क्लेम वैलिड ही नहीं है, उसके लिए कोई बेसिस ही नहीं है। So what is the difference between rejection and repudiation? रिजेक्शन मतलब फॉर्मेलिटीज में कुछ लफड़ा किया है, कोई डॉक्यूमेंट मिसिंग है, आपका कोई नाम के अंदर कुछ मिस्टेक है, आपका अमाउंट लिखने में कोई गलती हो गई है, तो वो रिजेक्ट किया जाता है। जिसको आप करेक्ट करोगे, वो करेक्ट करके आप फिर से सबमिट करोगे, तो वो प्रोसेसिंग के लिए आगे जा सकता है। लेकिन रेप्यूटिएशन में आपको क्लियरली बोला जाता है कि ये बेसिस ही नहीं है, ये कंडीशन में उस चीज क्लेम आप कर ही नहीं सकते हो। तो repudiation is more of, it is a deeper level of rejection. Next, repudiate is अस्वीकार करना, खारिज करना। हम बोलते हैं जैसे फैमिली से बेदखल कर दिया गया, या कुछ लोग होते हैं हु आर ब्लैक शीप, तो बोलते हैं अभी सब लोग अभी फैमिली में पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, लेकिन एक बच्चा पढ़ने में होशियार नहीं है, या उसको आर्ट की तरफ ज्यादा बेंट है, इंटरेस्ट है, बोलता रही ये हमारी फैमिली का तो लगता ही नहीं है। या लुक्स वाइज भी ऐसा होता है कि सब बाकी सब गोरे हैं लेकिन एक बच्चा काला हो गया, तो अरे ये कहाँ से आ गया, ये कैसे पैदा हो गया, ये तो हमारी फैमिली का लगता ही नहीं है। तो इस तरह से जो है ना, देयर वाज वन केस विच वाज अर्जेंटम नाइट्रिकम का केस शेयर किया गया था, जिसमें फैमिली के सब लोग आर्मी में थे, लेकिन जो एक लड़का था उसको आर्मी में जाने का बिल्कुल इंटरेस्ट नहीं था, क्योंकि उसको बैकएक भी था, तो वो जैसे वीक था, सिकली था, उसमें उतनी ताकत नहीं थी। तो बाकी के लोग मतलब बोलते कैसा है यार, सब पूरी फैमिली आर्मी में और ये थोड़ा सा भी काम नहीं कर सकता है, इसको हमेशा बैकएक ही रहता है, ये उम्र में किसी को बैकएक होता है क्या। तो मतलब आपको वो अपनी फैमिली का मानते ही नहीं है, आपको वो स्थान ही नहीं देते, एक वैलिड स्थान ही नहीं देते कि आप ये फैमिली के मेंबर हो। तो रेप्यूडिएशन भी रिजेक्शन जैसा ही है, बट इट इज मोर डीप सीटेड, लाइक इट इज नॉट अ क्वालिटी विच कैन बी चेंज्ड, और रिजेक्शन को एक्सेप्टेंस में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं, बट वो उसको अलग ही कर दिया गया है। सो उसके जो सिनोनिम्स है उसमें टर्न माई बैक, मतलब लोग उनको पीठ दिखा देते हैं, दे रिफ्यूज टू बिलीव देम, अभी काफी सारे ऐसे होते हैं बच्चे जो एक्सक्यूजेस देने में माहिर रहते हैं या फेनिंग सिक वाले रहते हैं, तो वो जब सच भी बोलते हैं तो कोई उनको बिलीव नहीं करता है। तो लाइक अर्जेंटम ओनली आई वुड से कि अगर वो सच में भी उनको तकलीफ है तो लोग ऐसे ही सोचेंगे कि ये तो यार ऐसे ही एक्सक्यूज ही दे रहा है, तो उसको बिलीव नहीं करेंगे। तो उनको वो ट्रस्टवर्दी ही नहीं माना जाता है। आपके ऊपर कुछ रिलाय ही नहीं कर सकते हैं, आपको कोई जिम्मेदारी ही नहीं दे सकते हैं। तो आप हमारे फैमिली के एक मेंबर बन ही नहीं सकते हो, तो आपको वहां से मतलब यू आर नॉट कंसिडर्ड अ पार्ट ऑफ द फैमिली। आई हैव नथिंग टू डू विथ, don't want to be connected or disown them. Next, forsaken. अभी forsaken also comes in this line. अभी forsaken में क्या है कि इसके साथ में दो वर्ड्स और है जैसे abandon and desert। लेकिन forsaken is a such a deeply emotional deprivation। जैसे घर में होके भी कोई आपको ध्यान नहीं दे रहा है, सब अपने आप में बिजी हो गए हैं, तो कोई आपको ध्यान ही नहीं देता। लाइक ओल्ड ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स सब अपने काम में इतने बिजी हैं कि वो उनको कोई पूछता भी नहीं है। दो सर्वेंट्स आर केप्ट फॉर देयर केयर, इसलिए दे आर नॉट निग्लेक्टेड, दे आर केयर्ड फॉर। बट जो अपनापन, जो एक प्यार, जो पूछना चाहिए आप कैसे हो, वो टाइप का फीलिंग उनको अपने लोगों से नहीं मिलता है। तो फोरसेकन इज, it is likely to bring impoverishment or bereavement to that which is, it is not like exposure to physical danger, but it is more of deprivation of love। आपको कोई चाहता नहीं है, इसलिए in this picture you can see how the girl is leaving her old parent, so she forsook her family and went to live abroad। ये उसके इमोशनल, अभी बहुत सारे एनआरआईज जो हैं माँ बाप के लिए पैसे भेज देते हैं, माँ बाप को बोलते हैं आप अटेंडेंट रख दीजिए, लेकिन वो खुद 2-4 साल में भी एक बार आके पूछते नहीं है अपने माँ बाप से कि आप कैसे हो। और when the husband is too busy, he doesn't have time for family, wife will feel forsaken। or in a family, in-laws and husband are on one side and wife is not given that importance or consideration, where she is made a part of decision making or major things। तो उसको वो forsaken फीलिंग आ सकता है कि यार अभी तक मुझे अपने फैमिली का पार्ट आपने नहीं समझा है क्या। so this is forsaken where your feelings are not taken into account। दैट इज दी फीलिंग। अबंडन में आप छोड़ के चले जाते हो, लाइक दिस हस्बैंड अबंडन्ड दी पेशेंट। और डेजर्टेड में क्या है कि जब बच्चे अपना छोड़ के चले जाते हैं तो आपका घर वीरान हो जाता है, सुनसान हो जाता है, एक लोनलीपन, उजड़ा हुआ चमन बोलते हैं जैसे। तो डेजर्टेड इज, आप किसी के जाने के बाद जो आपके घर की जो बाहर है, आपके घर का जो एक एनवायरमेंट है, वो काफी सुनसान जैसा सूना हो जाता है, उजड़ा हुआ हो जाता है। अबंडेंट इज लाइक जो हम ओल्ड मूवीज में देखते थे कि मंदिर के स्टेप्स पे बच्चे को छोड़ के चले गए, तो इट इज लाइक दैट दे हैव अबंडेंट द चाइल्ड। और डेजर्टेड में जो हम दिखाते हैं जैसे आफ्टर अ सर्टेन एज चिल्ड्रन लीव, बोलते हैं ना कि बर्ड्स फ्लाई आउट ऑफ द हाउस, तो फिर वो हाउस जो रह जाता है वो उजड़ा हुआ रह जाता है, उसमें आपको कोई आनंद नहीं आता है। यू मस्ट हैव रेड अबाउट अ मैसेज वेयर द मिडिल एजेड लेडीज लाइक राइट्स की जब मैं अपने बच्चों के साथ झगड़ती थी कि तुम चीजें जगह पे नहीं रखते हो, ये नहीं करते हो, और अभी घर जैसा था वैसा ही पड़ा रहता है, उसमें कोई घर वाला फीलिंग ही नहीं आता है। तो डेजर्टेड इज दैट वीरान, उजड़ा हुआ, सुनसान। डेजर्टेड इज ऑल्सो यू हैव लेफ्ट, पीपल हैव लेफ्ट एंड आपके अंदर कोई वो उमंग उत्साह वगैरह बचा ही नहीं है। नाउ इन दिस केस वी वर ऑल्सो थिंकिंग ऑफ सेंश्योर्ड, कि अभी विडो है तो लोग उसको सेंश्योर तो नहीं करेंगे। सेंश्योर मतलब निंदा, दोष, आक्षेप, मतलब आप में कोई गलती निकालेगा, आप में कोई बुराई निकालेगा। बट वो इस केस में ऐसा नहीं था, इसको ऐसा लग रहा था कि लोग मुझे मेरे पे इल्जाम लगाएंगे या कुछ ऐसे करेंगे, जहां पे ऐसे बोला जाता है ना कि इसके आने से कोई मर गया तो वो कलंक लग जाता है, तो वहां पे आपको सेंश्योर्ड का फीलिंग आ जाएगा कि पीपल आर ब्लेमिंग कि ये जब बहू आई थी उसके बाद तो ससुर मर गया। तो दैट इज वहां पे सेंश्योर्ड का फीलिंग आएगा। लेकिन इसको ऐसे लग रहा था कि मेरा जो सुहागनों का जो प्रिविलेज है वो प्रिविलेज मेरे से छूट गया, तो यहाँ पे सेंश्योर्ड भी नहीं आएगा। अभी सेंश्योर्ड इज लाइक बीइंग जज्ड, क्रिटिसाइज्ड फॉर रॉन्ग एक्शंस, स्ट्रॉन्ग disapproval in official language. For example, health department censured restaurants with poor hygiene. और सेंसर इज रिमूविंग ऑब्जेक्शनेबल कंटेंट, मतलब कुछ वल्गर है तो उसको सेंसर किया जाता है। सेंशर्ड में किसी की गलती निकाली जाती है, वो वल्गर वगैरह का कुछ संबंध नहीं है उससे, लेकिन किसी की गलती निकाली जाती है। तो सेंशर इज ऑल्सो टू शो स्ट्रॉन्ग डिसअप्रूवल। So all these feelings are so deep seated feelings कि it can be carried over generations. तो अगर आपको बच्चों में इस तरह के या चाइल्डहुड विटिलिगो या चाइल्डहुड सोरियासिस, बच्चों में डीप सीटेड डिसीजेस मिलती है, तो अलोंग विथ ऑल दीज इन्फेक्शियस डिसीजेस, एचआईवी को भूल गए, कॉक्स को भूल गए। जो ओपन केसेस रहते थे कॉक्स के, उनको भी सेनेटोरियम में भेज दिया जाता था। तो टीबी के पेशेंट्स को भी लोग वैसे ही अवॉइड करते थे। और एचआईवी का तो बीच में बहुत ज्यादा स्टिग्मा था, क्योंकि अगर एचआईवी किसी सर्जरी की वजह से हुआ है या किसी ब्लड ट्रांसफ्यूजन की भी वजह से हुआ है, तो पीपल यूज टू लुक एट यू लाइक एज इफ यू हैव डन समथिंग रॉन्ग। आपने कहीं पे जाके सेक्स किया हुआ है जिसकी वजह से आपको एसटीडी हो गया, जिसकी वजह से आपको एचआईवी हो गया। तो लोग यहां तक भी सुसाइड भी कमिट किए हुए हैं कि हमको एचआईवी का लेबल लग गया, मतलब लोग हमारे लिए क्या ही सोचते होंगे। So even such things, no, they are very deep seated and they can be carried from generations to generations. So it can be ancestral trauma. So Hura can be a very deep acting remedy for such mental traumas. If anybody wants to add anything.
I just reminded one incident, right? One girl, married girl, and she was told by her family, ये घूरे पे रखने लायक है. It means she should be kept on dustbin.
Oh.
See the feeling. See the discard and outcast. She doesn't belong because she was not looking good and she was, I think, fourth, fifth girl child of the family, and she was told like this. So even if continuously girl children come in our society, that is also sometimes can create a Buddha like of picture.
Even illegitimate children's,
Yes.
जिनको वो पहले इस तरह से आप डिस्कार्ड करके चले जाते थे, अबंडन करके चले जाते थे, तो वो उनको भी ये फीलिंग अगर बाद में किसी को पता चलता है तो हो सकता है। अभी एक मूवी में भी ऐसा था रिसेंटली, पर्सन्स ओरिजिन वाज disclosed to media and then he felt so embarrassed. But really hats off to Shobha to identify this state.
Yeah, that state was really very difficult to understand.
Because it is at a very subtle level. Person has not said that society has outcasted me. Person has already talked about how she will not be enjoying the privileges which society gives to Suhagans. So from that coming to outcast is a very, good journey. It's a very sensitive perception.
Because she did not speak anything else about any other thing, na? And what she was pained about was this feeling. And जो हमने सब rubrics भी देखे, तो it is all our delusions. So that is the delusion, means the perception of a person. So अभी तो it is just less than it is just a month, 1 month that husband has died. अभी तक तो वो situations नहीं आई है कि जब भी वो पूजा आएगी, मार्गशीर्ष महीना तो आएगा तभी आएगा. But तभी उसके पहले ही she has started imagining herself into that group and she will not be able to do certain things. So वो उसका ही perception जो था, that delusions which were there. So that is how, whether whatever we discussed in our group, everybody, it's not necessary that every widow will pass through this, but those, or every leper, or every person with a leprosy, or cox, or psoriasis, or vitiligo will pass through this. But the person who feels this, the patient who feels this, because it is a pathological feeling, who passes through this pain, we have to take this rubric and we have to prescribe Hura. Okay, friends. So with this, we try to end this today's video over here. And do share your comments in our YouTube channel comment box, so that we know about your choices. Thank you very much, friends. Yes.